I don't think so, because if somebody has been in this state for 36 years and in a pathetic condition, and there's no resolution for an issue over such a long period of time, and medical science has no remedy for her, what's the point in keeping her alive? It's not a question of her heart and lungs. It's a question of her well-being. It's a question of her dignity. It's a question of what possible recovery she has. If none of them exist, then I don't think why the force feeding itself it becomes a very major issue. And if that is withdrawn, what difference does it make to her? Because she's virtually brain dead. Her brain is not functioning, even though her heart and lungs are functioning. And I think it's a very serious issue. It's a question of her dignity, I think, ultimately, and I think she should be allowed to die.
So it's a question of her dignity, that the keeping her alive violates the right to live with dignity, which is guaranteed in our constitution.
I think that is every right for a person to live with dignity. And I think we have a bounden duty as a responsible society to see that life is preserved and promoted. In this case, we know this person is a victim of a very unfortunate incident. Therefore, I think we have a greater responsibility towards her maintenance and caring her. And I think, as you rightly said, the nurses of the particular hospital have been caring for long 36 years. I think one shouldn't just count the number of years. What's important is the very value of life. And that has to be looked into.
So you're saying the precedent will be a very negative one. If in this case death is allowed, that will set a very negative precedent, and because mercy killing would have all kinds of unfortunate effects in India.
Absolutely right. Because once you decide on this case as permissible case, then you are creating a precedent based on which you will have a series of consequences in a country like India, where laws can be flouted and manipulated.
But I want to quote to you a lawyer who says mercy killings happen all the time. It's the best kept secret in Indian hospitals. Patients do it, doctors do it. It's time the law catches up with the reality.
But just because something is done, it does not simply mean it is acceptable, it is right. And what is done behind the curtain has to be exposed. Those who are doing things illegal, I think they have to be they have to be taken to task rather than legalizing it. Something is wrong, it remains.
36 years, she's speech dead, she's brain dead, she's paralyzed, she only has a glimmer of perception. Is that any kind of life for a human being to inhabit? Why not set the soul free?
The point is that how do you define the quality of life? There is no one single quality of life that can be applied to everyone across the board. The people with their different abilities, people who are gifted differently, are able to lead their lives differently. Therefore, we cannot just use one particular standard across the board for all individuals. And therefore, I think we have a responsibility. Once again, I will reiterate this, to care for people who are differently able, or let's say people who are not being able to function normally as others.
Responsibility to be to care, not to seek their death.
Right, absolutely.
Okay, let me get in Surendra Dhelia, who is in fact the General Secretary of the Society for the Right to Die with Dignity. Dr. Dhelia, what is your response to Babu Joseph?
I think this patient should be allowed a dignified death. She is not living, she is just existing. Giving her a peaceful, dignified death, in my opinion, would not amount to murder. It should not be punishable under Section 302 of the Indian Penal Code. On the contrary, it should be recognized as a justifiable act of compassion.
Do you want to respond to that?
No, I think...
What are the options before us?
The point is that we have also a social responsibility. And that compassion is a part of our social responsibility, not just terminating one's life. And secondly, who are we to decide that someone should die at this particular point of time? I think we are playing God in this particular case.
Only God has the right to give life and to take away life. Flavia Agnes?